Hello, once again, Emma, the High Priestess of Creaturecaster, is here to guide you through another assembly video. So first, make sure that you have all of the parts in front of you. This part number 1, you'll notice has some extra shims. Shims are the additional material that keeps the mold from shifting. So it's the thin stuff in between all of the little tentacly bits. And that just helps to keep the organic look nice and smooth. Alright, so let's jump into it. First we're going to test fit parts 2 and 6 on the base, part 11. So you want to make sure that at the top is what's lining up more here, because that's what's going to be showing, and you can always just shave off the bottom with your knife if it's not fitting into the base. So I recommend focusing on all of the tentacle parts lining up nicely. It's pretty clear where the grooves should go together. So you're gonna take a little break here and let those dry, and I just ended up cleaning the shims out of part number 1 while that was drying. And now we're going to fit that into the base now that it's dried. So you can see there's a slight little gap at the bottom, so I'm shaving off that additional material there. And just keep doing that until it fits. So I cleaned it up so it would fit nicely. You can see that pile of shavings I have there. And now I'm going to add the cape to the back. And make sure that it is fitting nicely, because this is a place where 3 parts are going together. The torso goes on top of that, so you want to make sure that the surface is flat. It's a little harder to clean this than the bottom, so make sure it fits nicely before you glue it. Let that dry a little, and then we're going to test fit the torso. This is important that you make it fit at this point. It's going to be added at a later phase, but it's harder to clean it when it's been added at that part. So make sure that it fits at this point in the process. And now we're going to attach this to the base. If you're worried about this not adhering to the base nicely, you could score the base or pin this to the base as well. But a good helping of glue will do the trick. It can be a little more challenging to fit such an organic shape to the base compared to like a mechanical type thing. I accidentally left this little extra bit of shim there, so I'm just cleaning it now, but you should probably do it before you get to this point. And next we're setting up the pin for the torso. So again, I'm just checking the fit. In hindsight, I would have made it fit a little better where the booty is, but you'll see what I do later. So we have a nice hole there in the bottom that you can use as a guide. It's perfectly in the middle. And just use a hand drill or an electric drill. I really prefer the pin vise, the hand drill one, but electric drill is actually pretty nice too. It goes faster. The only downside to it is that it's hard to keep it going straight. Like I found that it was wibbling a bit and making the hole a little larger than I would like. So you'll see that I had to make a change in my plan later here. So now I'm going to use a little bit of blue tack to figure out where the hole should go on the torso. So you just stick a little bit of it on there. I scored a bit so that it wouldn't fall off, and fit it perfectly into the other piece. When you do this, you should be able to pull it away and you'll have a perfect replica of your hole, but in the inverse. And you just have to like scrape it a little bit to the side, and it even shows you the angle at which you'll have to drill, which is really nice. Whoever came up with this hack originally, you're a genius. And you just scrape it a little bit away, start the hole, and then I like to remove the blue tack so that I can see better. So at the beginning of this process, I was going to use the polystyrene rod that you see on the table there that I've been testing, but my drill bit was a little larger than that and I wasn't too happy with the fit of it. The one benefit though of polystyrene as opposed to using like paper clips, which a lot of people use, is that polystyrene has a little more give to it. So if your holes aren't nicely lined up, it's more forgiving than a paper clip. But I did a pretty good job lining these up, so I was able to use a paper clip in the end. It just ended up being a better fit overall. And I'm not sure if it's just like an instinct because it's a bit harder, but it makes me feel like it'll be more stable. I don't know if that's true though. So as you can see, I'm testing both sides, and once I get a good fit, I use my clippers to snip it. Make sure you're using the part of your clippers that's closer to the handle so you're not breaking your edges, your tip there. And at this stage, just keep cutting little pieces away until the parts fit nicely together. I recommend having a pair of tweezers for this. It just makes it so much easier. I was so happy with the fit on this. I used to be really scared of pinning because I wasn't sure how to do it properly, but once I learned, oh my god, what a lifesaver, all those 3-part connections, I used to scream with frustration. It's so much easier now. And voila, a perfect fit. Once it's fitting nicely, you just glue that pin in place. And then we'll leave this to dry and start on part number 1. So again, this model is quite difficult due to all of these organic textures that go together and the multiple pieces that have to fit together. But it looks so cool at the end, so quite worth it. Just make sure that you're cleaning and checking the fits everywhere as you're going along. I also took a little Sharpie at the beginning and put dots on all of the extra material so that if I forgot something or missed something while I was cleaning, I would see it at some point. This next piece is again a little complex because of the organic textures that need to line up, but luckily there's this arm piece that covers the back, so I found that if I just lined up the front and sides, and I was good to go. And of course you can fill any additional little gaps with putty at the end. But if you're struggling with making it fit, you just kind of rock it a little and you can feel where it is hitting the other part. And then shave that bit off. Next, you're going to attach the arm there. Maybe leave a little more time to dry though than I did. Well, this is sped up, but yeah, make sure you leave some time for that to dry before you attach this arm. I took several chip breaks. And there you go. See, it covers it up nicely. So I had a slight gap at the back there, and this just saved me. And now we're adding the torso on. So this is another part that you could pin if you wanted, but it's not too complex. So I didn't bother with pinning it. I scored it a little bit. Make sure you have a nice even spread of glue on there because you will be shifting things slightly later and you want to make sure that everything is holding. Look at that watch tan. Oh my. Too much time out in the sun. I guess not something to complain about really. So you're going to want to leave a good amount of time for this to dry before you move on to the next part because you want it to be sturdy. I took a chip break. And while that's drying, let's also add this little thigh panel, this armor to his leg. If you don't add it now, it's pretty annoying because the torso and everything else gets in the way. Make sure you don't put too much glue on there. And if you've left enough time for the rest of it to dry, we can glue that in. So as you can see, the sword fits into the base there to add some extra stability, so make sure you glue that too. And I'm starting with just gluing the torso and the sword there. I didn't glue the back part yet. But if you have a really good fit, then you can glue that at the same time. It just wasn't perfect for me, and I wanted to make sure that the torso was really strong. If you're having a similar issue at this point, you could use some heat from like a hair dryer to slightly bend that top piece. But as long as you let it dry, then this works pretty well. So now I'm going to attach that back part. But then I noticed that his booty wasn't quite fitting as tightly to his cape area as I wanted, so I add a little bit of glue with the point of this paper clip, and then hold it together. So I just want to show you really quick, this area here, I did remove a little too much material on part 1, so there's a slight gap, which I can fill with putty, but just wanted to stress the importance of test fitting while you're cleaning your parts. And now let's attach the back here. So the reason why I didn't glue it again at the time that I glued the torso was because it wasn't quite touching, as you can see. So if I had glued it at that time, then the torso would have been popping off or the back wouldn't be fitting quite right. So leaving that time for it to dry really helps. After it all dried, I still had a slight gap there, so I took a hairdryer and just applied a little bit of heat, which allowed me to fix that. And lastly, we're adding this little cloth piece to the front. This piece angles slightly forward to get a perfect fit, so the first time I did it, I struggled a bit with it. Because when you look at this, you would expect it to angle slightly back just because of his position. So keep that in mind when you're attaching this piece. And just keep cleaning the connection point until it fits really nicely. Or if you prefer using putty to fill gaps, you can do that. But I was able to get a really nice fit just by cleaning it. And with that, we're done. If you have any questions, as always, you can contact us at support@creaturecaster.com or on Instagram, Facebook. I hope this was helpful, and have a fantastic day, night, morning, whatever time it is, wherever you are.